Okay, guys, last video on the topic, how do you avoid using the passive voice? You could want to use, oh my God, you could want to avoid it for many reasons. First of all, if it's one of the verbs that is not using the passive, like I said at the beginning, you know, the ones that you would need to use an object with. So for example, I said to go, yeah, something like that. For example, would not be able to use the passive, or maybe if you are feeling a bit too confused about the passive altogether, there are other ways to not mention the subject but still not use the passive. So there's two methods. Could be, you could either use on simply, or you could use reflexive verbs. So I'll start with on first, because it's a lot easier. So for example, on, if you want to say, let's take the example of earlier. So I broke the window was the active voice. Oh, sorry, broke. I broke the window is active, so j'ai cassé la vitre. There we are. Then in the passive, it becomes the window was broken. That's probably what you would find in a police report, for example, the window was broken. So la vitre a été cassée. With the E, because of course la vitre is feminine. And then if you want to avoid using the, so that's active, if you want to avoid using the passive, but you still don't want to say that you're the one breaking the window, you can use on. So you can say, basically it's like saying someone has broken the window. So someone broke the window. Okay, you're like taking the responsibility away from yourself. Someone broke the window, but you're not using the passive structure, and it makes it a lot easier. So, on a cassé la vitre. Okay, that is one of the use of on, not just nous, but also someone, and that's something that is good to remember. On a cassé la vitre. Okay, so it's active, but with no subject here. I mean, there is a subject, is on, but it's very blurry. You don't know who on is actually. It's like saying someone or one. Someone broke the window. You don't know who someone is. It could be anyone. And here, that's one of the way that you could use to kind of like cheat the system and use and don't have to say the person who did it with actually using the passive. Now again, using the passive is good and it looks really, really good on your GCSE. However, if you don't feel comfortable with it, or in a conversation, if you're actually outside of your exam settings and you want to talk about it, and let's say if you are in an exchange trip, you are in a French family, someone broke a glass, you don't want to say it was the small brother because you don't want to put people not on your side, so you won't, and you don't know how to use the passive properly because you're stressing out of the situation. I don't know, you might want to say on. Okay, on a cassé un verre, meaning someone has broken a glass, but no one actually know for sure who it was. So passive looks very good, but then again, if you're not quite sure how to use it, or if it's in the pluperfect and you really don't remember how to make it, then you could use on. That is one of the alternatives. Second alternative is to use a reflexive verb. So I take an example. I sell the car on the internet. Je vends la voiture sur Internet. Okay, so I sell the car on internet. Je vends la voiture sur Internet. In the passive voice, so that's active. The passive voice would be la voiture. Voiture est vendue. Here again, voiture is feminine, so vendue would take an E here. La voiture est vendue sur Internet. Whether or not you want to say it's by you, you can, so par moi. But that is really not necessary. And that is passive. And here again, you can use the reflexive to have an active voice, but here, without really mentioning who's actually selling the car, you can say la voiture se vend sur Internet, which is literally the car, it's selling itself on the internet. But sometimes you can say it, the car is selling itself fast, or the course is selling fast. Okay, that's something you could say. La voiture se vend sur Internet. Here, the word vendre, the verb vendre, to sell, is not reflexive in the first place. It's not one of the reflexive verbs as such, but you can make it reflexive by adding a reflexive pronoun in front, and that will make it not personal anymore. So like putting some distance from the action. So it's not you who are selling the car, it's the car is selling itself. You're kind of putting distance from the action here. And it's a great way of like describing an event that happened and you're not quite proud of it and you kind of want to put distance with it. You can use that method. So you just use a reflexive pronoun in front of it. So here it's la voiture, so it's se, remember. If you know your reflexive pronoun, is je me, tu te, il, elle, se, nu, vous, and ils, elles, se again. Okay, so that was the reflexive pronoun. So here, la voiture se vend sur Internet. The car is selling itself on the internet. If you want to talk about yeah, that would work. Okay, so that would make it reflexive to add a reflexive pronoun in there, even though the verb is not reflexive in the first place. And here, if you're using il, elle, or ils and elles for plural, then it suddenly becomes less clear who's actually doing the action. So if there's more than one car, it works as well. So les voitures se vendent. Okay, sur Internet. So here the cars kind of sell on the internet. Okay, they sell themselves on the internet. So they are the two ways here to avoid using the passive if you're not really clear on that, or if you're falling on a verb that is a bit too weird in a passive, then it's either the on or the reflexive. Okay, so two ways to avoid the passive if you need to. And ladies and gentlemen, this is me for this week. There has been a lot of lessons on both the subjunctive and the passive. Here again, if you have any sort of question, just don't hesitate, drop me a message, drop a post on the Facebook group. This is what it's there for, not just for me posting events on there, but also to ask questions and really help each other as a community. So don't hesitate to use this tool, it's there for you. And I can't wait to see how well you understood all this concept in your grammar booklet from this week. See you soon.